welcome to the stream. Hold on here. Okay, thank you for joining us, everybody. Let me just turn up my mic a little bit here. Okay, yeah, there we go. How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, ooh, easy on the gain. Easy on the gain. Ooh, look at that. You like that? Yes. Yes. You like that? Hello, everybody. We're back. We're live streaming once again. Trying to do it every night. Although, I'll be real with you, it probably won't happen tomorrow night. Or the night after, just so you're aware. We'll be back Sunday. Alright, into the show. I hope you enjoy. Let me hit play. Oh, there you go. A little glitch for you. Okay. Just gotta hit play on the last VCR here. Okay. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the world of real entertainment. Please stay tuned at the end of the program for previews of more exciting home videos. Now, enjoy the show.
Do they continue their visits? Have they reached out to us? Are they in fact in league with the governments of the earth, even as we speak? These questions and more will be answered on Volume 1 of UFO Investigations, The Cover-Up. And now your hosts, True Hawkins and Joan Piercy.
Hello, we're UFO Investigations. I'm True Hawkins, and this is Research Associate Jody Piercy.
Hello.
Our continuing job is to bring information to you from recently acquired government documents acquired through the Freedom of
Nightfall
Information.
catastrophe. Journey to a universe of the unexplained, the unforeseen, the unbelievable. A place beyond reality where no question will go unanswered. A place where myth and legend are law.
Just
Takes to the grass. At Donington Park, the Formula 3s are at it again. Rule 2 is shiny side up, dirty side down, and no extra points for freestyle acrobatics. Andrew Gilbert Scott.
the sky, too late for his parachute to fully open.
Volcanoes.
With him for company. And now presenting
The quote recovery of both alien bodies and the bodies of Army Air Force pilots. The document illustrates that the RAND Corporation had a very early involvement with the subject. The letter was written in the same time period that President Truman decided to establish a separate
Possible
entity
second.
to deal solely with the alien problem. The document, dated 1950, has 4 points that are very, very much along the lines of what we've been talking about. One, the matter is
perhaps the most spectacular racing of all is in Formula Ford. See what I mean? Mark Peters gives a whole new meaning to the phrase.
Alex saucer-shaped aircraft. The painter's
And Marine
canvas has become the
from Brazil
photographer's lens,
demonstrates the flight.
capturing hundreds of photos of the UFOs.
His race.
Comic books of the 1930s also depict their versions of the flying saucers. Elaborate, fanciful...
Just those whales.
What brutes! What cowards! What fiends!
What lamb chops.
The whales developed marvelous games and very creative games, many of them very physical.
Mighty Mouse!
balloon. The story was issued to every major publication, and photos of the wreckage were released to further support the story. But the civilians who found the wreckage told a different story. They saw wreckage that included chunks of metal with hieroglyphics on it. And one of
That came from in the crash-bang wallop world of Formula Ford. Formula Ford foul-ups aren't confined to...
Volcano was the chimney of the forge of Vulcan, the Roman god of blacksmithing. Those Romans were among the first to feel the wrath of a volcano when Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, devastating the thriving merchant town.
tries out the ejector seat at a British hill climb.
Abilities of the
A race of synthetic humans.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris, Moscow are key targets.
There's a pressure that can be relieved through an earthquake or a volcano. These eruptions can take many forms, and unfortunately for the millions of people who live near volcanoes, all lethal. For example, one type is the tremendous paroxysmal explosion, the kind that destroys...
that hinges on the courage of aircraft mechanic Joe Lippo. Joe gathers speed in a faster car and tries to flick open a lever under the plane's wing. Then he must literally hang from the lever to unjam the wheel. Joe's plan works. The grateful pilot's nerves hold steady. To judge the danger of Joe's mission, take another look. Today, Scott Gordon indulges his love of flying by piloting passenger jets for a major airline. The quest for breakneck speeds assumes another form here as giant race boats streak across Florida's choppy waters. A news helicopter keeps pace. The aerodynamics of the hyperactive's triple hull lifts the craft well above the waves. Suddenly, the bow noses too high.
burned or blown apart by this tremendous eruption. Only 2 survived. Never again would people ignore the warning signs.
Eventually, man became the space traveler in spacecraft of his own design. Rocket Ship XM was the first film with this popular theme and starred a young Lloyd Bridges.
90-degree turn completed. Reduce power. Thrill as you get a moon's eye view of Earth. Streak through a barrage of hidden dangers. Meteorites! It is just 1 minute before takeoff time in the uninhabited desert of White Sands, New Mexico.
Tell them to stand by for count-off and firing.
59, 58, 57.
But to reach this dramatic moment were months of construction, checking every detail 1,000 times, and a desperate struggle to convince us.
And then withdrawn. So things were going along quite smoothly, relatively speaking. Just before 10 to 10, the baby was delivered right up to the pectoral fins, and then it opened its mouth and it wagged its head. It was so fast. It was just so fast. It was just sort of pump, pump, and gone, and just so vigorous, like a little worm.
This modern Noah's Ark to carry a few picked survivors of our doomed civilization to a new life on another world, reaching the heights of self-sacrifice, the depths of the animal lust for survival as they fight to be among the few who can be saved.
Let's take the ship away from them! Come on!
Fighting among themselves, fighting against time, as doomsday is upon them.
I think all you scientists are crackpots.
The exhausted skipper reaches safety while the chopper returns one more time for the last crewman.
People weren't caught by surprise when the volcano erupted. That was more or less expected, but the magnitude of the eruption took everybody by surprise. It had been considered as a worst-case possibility that something such as what actually occurred could take place, but worst-case events seldom happen, so we were looking for something smaller, and we were wrong. What happened is that this bulge that had been forming on the north side of the mountain started to slide down slope, and this was just like removing the lid from a pressure cooker. It's been estimated that it was the equivalent of about a 17 megaton.
Despite the near total devastation, experts say it could have been worse. Due to the efforts of scientists, park rangers, almost everyone on that mountainside had been evacuated. With the tragic exception of David Johnston, who gave his life so we might learn, All of the scientists were out of danger. Harry Truman, however, simply vanished. Those who were there can never forget.
As a Honolulu news team...
Everybody was in a state of shock. Our beautiful mountain had double-crossed us.
The whole landscape was gray, quiet, real still, no birds singing, no bees buzzing.
Courage and skill.
Just really quiet. Everything just gray.
This used to be the prettiest mountain in the world.
But
now
when
it's
Kenneth
the
Yamamoto and
holiest
his fellow
mountain in the
firemen
world.
moved to squelch the
Mount
flames,
St. Helens was a
has no
lesson
idea
in what a
what awaits
volcano
him.
can do. The power of nature was not underestimated,
As
not this time.
Yamamoto and his partner
And
brave
brave men lost their lives.
the fire suddenly leaps out of control.
That is taking place today. In the
Reacting instinctively, his fellow fireman smothers a scorching flame.
Think of disaster, learning how to understand and even fight the awesome powers contained.
In replay,
The map all around us, throughout, even samples of lava.
Cause the problems, only the landings. Sometimes even the finest.
Volcanoes are a part of everyday life. According to Hawaiian legend, the goddess Pele is responsible for the volcanic activity in Hawaii. She was briefly married to Kampua, the god of war. Unfortunately, the marriage had a few problems. Pele kicked the god of war out, chased...
on this quiet Boston street,
The Monte Carlo rally
in front of the Arab Anti-Discrimination League,
GTI runs out of road as the lone...
experts secure the bomb with a 20-foot line, guided gingerly and suspended in the city's
at the... Every day they poke, prod, and test the still active volcano in the hopes of understanding the non-legendary reasons for its
The pipe
existence.
is large enough to hold plastic explosives.
The Volcano Observatory
that may
has
look and
a major
feel like
function as a training
silicone,
ground.
but can
You'll
detonate
find
with a force
probably any volcano observatory in the world has people on its staff, certainly that have been here, and certainly they use equipment that we've probably developed here.
Actually, living on a volcano, I guess we're just like
Prepares to
anyone
explode
else.
the
The
bomb
level
in
of
an empty
danger
field.
really isn't that very high if you keep aware of what's going on. But if you're aware of it, it's just like driving an automobile in many ways. If you stay in your own lane and pay attention to what's going on around you, then it's a reasonably safe job.
Unfortunately, the only alternative is to remove the bomb by hand.
But it's often the waves themselves that cause the trouble. Ted Tolman in...
It's a major influence on their lives.
Some volcanoes are more beautiful than others, some are more ominous than others, some where lives are threatened, but here in Hawaii, volcanoes are peaceful enough.
For the public good. Volcanologists are like firemen. They have to respond to emergencies, and sometimes these are
driver Bob Idone.
for the...
He's bound for the seabed unless he abandons the...
Are you guys enjoying the show so far? I hope you're enjoying the show. I'm having fun.
They generate may well be a solution to one of the most pressing crises mankind now faces: energy and our... We need to examine how the power of the volcano can be captured and harnessed.
A vehicle tries to push Connors away from the fuel spill.
It would take over 2,000 times the world's supply of coal to produce the heat that can be found in the upper 6 miles of the Earth's crust. And that force has been tapped here in this huge power station in Northern California.
Gather as much material as they could and load it into 2 vehicles and report back to Roswell. Major Marcel contacted Captain Sheridan Cav Cabot, and they spent the rest of the day driving to the Foster Ranch. That afternoon, military police confiscated the debris fragments Mac Brazel left at the sheriff's office. It is presumed they were flown to 8th Army Air Force headquarters in Texas, and from there to Washington, D.C. Too late to gather debris, they spent the night in sleeping bags at a small shed on the property.
The mated pair must always eat first, then the others, while from the trees, smaller eyes watch hungrily, waiting for the scraps. It is vital that the leaders be well fed for the survival.
Without explanation, they quickly ushered the curious onlookers away from
Dawn comes a little earlier now, dusk a little later. The leader and his mate stay very close together. He becomes affectionate and very possessive. They can only mate for these 2 weeks of the year. The ritual is complex. The other wolves rarely mate, but they become excited and in their own way share.
Presents information based in part on theories and opinions, some of which are controversial. The producer...
Since 1987, cameras have recorded many of the 2 million Americans taking these leaps of faith. For example, Kathy McCullum gave her husband David his first bungee jump as their wedding anniversary present.
The modus operandi is unknown, but concentrated effort is being made by a small group headed by Dr. Vannevar Bush, one of the original MJ-12 members. And D, the entire matter is considered by the United States authorities.
She cleans out the den. They bring the meat to the denning area. She will soon be confined to the den.
Cameras bought a new view of Manfred Winkle. It just isn't your fault. This time, and still the wheels keep falling off those points.
The labor is long. She cleans them and cuts the umbilical cord.
Hockenheim in 19...
Oh, no!
That winter. So the mother is strong and there are 5 healthy. If the winter had been hard, with few caribou.
Now, you guys got us fired from the gasoline station. Please, we won't let you down.
Air Corps decided to investigate the craft.
Grounds to turn off the air bottles. The whole gone up in flames. Derek Bell going on to win the race and clinch the world.
Two successive
hypothermia remains a life-threatening...
In July of 1952.
The camera still runs.
Prevent the emergency chopper from reaching.
11:40 p.m. and 3 a.m.
Paramedic Tim Coughlin
Can't
sets
you
his
do anything like that?
try to stop his blood loss.
You felt any other pain since we...
Nah, I think it's...
The 10th day. Bartlett to the chopper.
Man's oldest enemy. To be prepared for anything.
And... the food to the mother's doorstep. One day.
Extinguishes the driver.
Although he has lost this round, Bartlett plans to challenge the mountain nature also strikes.
Beyond what is known lies an unexplored world of shadows and phantoms. A land that knows no limits of time or space. From the dawn of discovery to the nightfall of catastrophe. Journey to a universe of the unexplained, the unforeseen, the unbelievable. A place beyond reality where no question will go unanswered.
The sheer scale of the drop's enough to unseat even the best rider, but at least he missed the other man.
Cameras rush to cover a breaking news story. No one knows if anyone is pinned underneath this submerged Jeep. Rescuers work quickly, even though they know it's unlikely anyone could survive underwater for the 20 minutes that have passed since the accident.
Those words were inscribed upon a plaque placed near the base of Mount Vesuvius in 1632. It was a warning of the terrible power that the volcano possesses.
Right down front. And for my next trick, I'll jump 15 motorcycles.
On May 18th, 1980, hell surfaced upon the Earth.
It's World Records Day at Zandvoort, Holland in 1985. 21-year-old Frenchman Pierre Gouton steps off the rear bumper of a car in an attempt to slide on his back at over 100 miles per hour. The question is, will he live to be 22? Some people are always hanging around. Nick Holliday is obviously...
Paramedics rush the lifeless body to University Medical Center, where doctors connect it to an experiment.
Energetic or ferocious kinds of natural activities. Volcanoes can destroy in, unfortunately, a number of ways. So I think mankind simply has to learn to live with...
Ouch. Now here's a novel way to catch a bus.
Magically appearing out of nowhere, this graceful funnel hides its furious rage behind an eerily beautiful shape. But at every passing moment, it grows bigger, stronger, faster, and even more deadly. Swerving unpredictably, it spreads terror through Wichita, Kansas. There is literally nowhere to run or hide.
And with it the invisible patterns which shape all life. It is only because the...
Today they lie where they fell, mute testimony of the destructive capabilities of the volcano. Volcanoes are found all over the world, and their locations give us a clue as to the reasons for their existence.
Has just about everything. It's in a class of its own. See what I mean? The winner is Oman Rally champion Tony Giorgio in the Jordan Rally.
Give us details of this famous Truman document.
As you have pointed out, True, information about UFOs and aliens oftentimes surfaces totally anonymously. The Truman document, for instance, dated 1952. It's a briefing document for Eisenhower from President Truman. It involves discussion of the Majestic 12, the Roswell crash, sightings in 1947 over Mount Rainier, and this particular document arrived in an unmarked envelope at the home of a
surging wave slams him against the wall of iron. A second man leaps.
The pages were recorded on 8 exposures of 35mm film.
Much of the information that we receive actually comes from government employees and undercover civilian investigators. These people feed information.
Pele was simply taken for granted by the 30,000 residents of this bustling town. But in the spring of 1902, something began to go wrong, terribly wrong.
In this one brief northern summer, they have had their childhood. They must soon take their places within the pack. The father who fondled them will become the pack leader who must eat even if they starve.
What do you know? He disappeared.
Burned or blown apart by this tremendous eruption. Only 2 survived. Never again would people ignore the warning signs of a volcanic eruption. Even as the rubble that was St. Pierre slowly cooled, scientists descended upon the scene, trying to add to the rapidly growing science of volcanology. Capable of erupting without notice. These terrible powers can be triggered instantly. Over the millennia, the Earth has been ravaged by forces beyond our imagination.
In 1972, an Argentinian cowboy saw this creature inside a UFO as it hovered just above him. Also in Argentina in 1971, a driver saw these creatures walking down a road. He said their eyes were glowing. And in Alabama, a police chief took this photo of a humanoid creature that was standing in the middle of a highway. Photographic technology in the 1970s led to fewer photos with a higher quality, making it harder to disprove their validity.
Twice by gunfire. His fellow Knoxville officers, along with FBI agents, put themselves at grave risk as they attempt to rescue him. With Adams still barricaded, the SWAT team prepares for what it hopes will be its final assault. But smoke grenades and tear gas fail to force Adams from his well-fortified position. Defying all reason, Adams... terror. Then suddenly, an unexpected turn of events. Adams.
People are being abducted. To 150 alien bodies representing at least 3 different species, but people are being abducted at an unprecedented rate.
Lear goes so far as to claim that the U.S. government has established communication with this alien power and actually collaborated with them. We have even built underground research facilities in top secret areas to house their little gray scientists.
The ones that I know for sure that exist are the ones in Nevada, at Area 51. There is a underground alien base there. It's our nation.
A beautiful spring morning. And watched as a huge bulge began to grow on the mountainside around him. He was in the middle of a radio transmission, and his last words were, "This is it."
Moore believes that it's not the aliens, but John... benevolent. Our government realizes it made a horrible mistake and can do nothing about it. Moore believes that it's not the aliens, but John Lear who's run amok, and he's outraged by his stories.
Bulge that had been forming on the north side of the mountain started to slide down slope, and this was just like removing the lid from a pressure cooker. It's been estimated that it was the equivalent of about a 17 megaton nuclear weapon going off.
Despite the near total devastation,
He called me up one time and was absolutely certain that he was about to be captured and eaten by aliens.
evacuated. With the tragic exception of David Johnston, who gave his life so we might learn, all of the scientists were out of danger. Harry Truman, however, simply vanished. Those who were there can never forget.
Everybody was...
As the wounded man crawls to safety, a SWAT team enters the rear of the building.
Hard-working, incredible.
In contact with their commander via radio.
He has probably done
Police
more
retrieve the 4 suspects out of the Peninsula Southeast Asia and are deeply troubled by their problems assimilating in the U.S.
and only exposing parts of the truth, parts aimed to mislead the truth seekers. All of which
inside the suspects.
Alien invaders, government agents, secret informants, hoaxes or scams? A cover-up like no other? Is this science fiction at its finest or reality beyond our wildest imaginations? Has John Lear stepped off the deep end?
It's not important that you believe this now, but to file it away for future reference in a month, a year, maybe 2 years, You'll look back on this when the truth finally gets out, and you'll say, my gosh, the son of a gun was right.
April 15, 1966, a professional cameraman was able to capture this UFO over Catalina Island, California. UFO sightings continue.
And really knew him very well. He came through here about 3 years ago, and in the process of asking him where all he had been in the past few years, he mentioned he was at Bentwaters, and Bentwaters was, of course,
But before the negotiator gets there,
What's going on around you. It's obviously very dangerous to go out and come in contact with something that's as hot as the active lava is. But if you're aware of it, it's just like driving an automobile in many ways. If you stay in your own lane and pay attention to what's going on around you, then it's a reasonably safe job.
Volcanologists respect volcanoes and regard these forces of nature as almost living things.
I've spent quite a bit of time living and working around active volcanoes where there are a lot of people living, and it's a major influence on their lives.
Some volcanoes are more beautiful than others, some are more ominous than others, some where lives are threatened, but here in Hawaii, volcanoes are peaceful enough it can be a friendly relationship.
I find a lot of things stimulating about being a volcanologist. For the public good. Volcanologists are like firemen. They have to respond to emergencies, and sometimes these emergencies can be hazardous to your health. And
It happened kind of like late at night, about 10:30 or so. I was just going back to my brother's house, and I was in my van, and I had some car trouble, and I'm not really a good mechanic, and my girlfriend isn't much one either. So we stopped for the night about over there somewhere, and you know, we're just gonna go ahead and sleep because it was so dark. There's no moon or anything, you know. So and you know, of course, I don't have like a cellular phone or anything like that. But so the night, it was, I don't really know. I think it was about 2 in the morning. So it was dark, and kind of weird. I mean, I thought it might have been a helicopter, you know, but I didn't hear any noise, so to speak. I just saw this light probing the ground, and you know, without that initial noise.
And under favorable circumstances, this heat can be tapped to form geothermal energy, and that's one of the good things that comes from volcanic activity that people sometimes don't realize.
And it's just the weirdest thing. I mean, I was the only one up, so I couldn't wake up my girlfriend, and the thing just jumped up into the sky and was gone. After, but I didn't know what to make of it. So, I mean, it's just the weirdest thing, you know. I mean, I've never seen anything like that, and I mean, I guess, I don't know what to make of it, you know. But you know, we came out the next day, you know, me and my uncle came came out the next day or actually the next night, and we decided to camp out because it was just such a strange deal. But we just we hung out. We didn't see it again.
Volcanoes?
That was the last time I saw it.
Visible symbol of this.
It was just really, really weird.
In recent times, the mystery of the Roswell incident has surfaced once again, with the discovery of lost government documentation footage of an autopsy being conducted on what is believed to be an alien from the Roswell crash. The authenticity of this footage has been the subject of much debate and controversy. It is offered here for you to draw your own conclusions.
The volcano, a terrible force. A force to be reckoned with.
Unidentified flying objects have been with us since the dawn of time. They have been chronicled.
We had no idea that Kavna would be pregnant when she arrived. It had never, ever occurred to us. I don't know why, because being a female of her age, it would be quite natural that she would be pregnant, but it had never occurred to us. I would say about the beginning of June, her mammaries began to swell and become very pronounced. And about the middle of June, the nipples that are usually concealed in two little slits were protruding. So we knew then, these were very obvious signs to us that her body was preparing for birth in the way that all mammalian species do.
Now, every night while his classmates were out scaring the daylights out of people, Casper would happily hop along, hoping to find a friend.
But once Barr reaches Gallegos, they cannot pull him and the victim up, and the rope is too short to reach the ground. As Barr dangles with only a precarious grip on Gallegos, both their lives literally hang in the balance on a 1/2-inch nylon rope. Holding on for dear life.
My name is Casper.
At last, they succeed. When a troubled man decides to leap from a 10-story building, a freelance cameraman is there to capture the drama. New York City's Emergency Services Unit drills constantly.
That it's impossible for us to forecast exactly which volcano will erupt and when that might be.
They possess the power that creates.
To a certain extent, but the President of the United
We have lived with them dawn of time, and we still stand in awe of their fury. They are volcanoes.
Beyond what is known lies an unexplored world of shadows and phantoms. A land that knows no limits of time or space. From the dawn of discovery to the nightfall of catastrophe.
And fast. So fasten your safety belts.
Of the unexplained, the unforeseen, the unbelievable. A place beyond reality where no question will go unanswered. A place where myth and legend are law. Superstition.
The camera is simply there to shoot a documentary for Hawaii Electric. The big man lowering the helicopter hook is Vietnam vet Warren Amaral, affectionately known as Tiny. The helicopter pilot is Steve Cox, who flew choppers in Vietnam. What starts as a routine lift suddenly turns into terror as the chopper malfunctions.
That's nothing. You just need some ground training first. Now you try it.
The chopper may blow any minute. Other crew members keep their distance. Tiny and another crew member won't give up. The crash has nearly severed the pilot's arm.
Hooray, you're flying!
And going into shock.
At last you earned.
He will soon die. But Tiny refuses to let a fellow vet perish like this, after all they've been through together. Incredibly, Tiny lifts the 1,600-pound chopper.
Get his leg up. Okay, 2 legs.
And Maurizio Gugelmin from Brazil demonstrates the flying finish. Well, his race is finished anyway.
Hold him up. Bring him in.
Stringent safety standards. And where the Brown Tracks marshals have done their bit, the unfortunate Brazilian, who only just signed a Formula One contract, is able to stroll away unhurt. It's a wonder he ever made it in Formula One. And no
Tiny and his
town in
crew
this
cover the pilot to keep him warm. The paramedics fly the patient to the hospital, where
In
he
the
undergoes
motor racing
successful
style
surgery.
marked Fowler, there are a number of recognized techniques. There's the graceful Torvill and Dean, followed by the far from graceful centre punch.
In this program, we have witnessed fires, floods, freak accidents, and large-scale disasters. A single man's life is caught.
Somersault with full twist is one of the most...
Oh, Dudley. It's me.
but very satisfying when you get it.
How? Funny.
Place, and the truth of the matter is...
Please, Dudley. Thing.
And when that might be.
The word volcano comes from a small island off the coast of Italy, Vulcano. Its ancient residents believed that Volcano was the chimney of the forge of Vulcan, the Roman god of blacksmithing. Those Romans were among the first to feel the wrath of a volcano when Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, devastating
relatively
the thriving
speaking.
merchant town of Pompeii and leaving us a
Just
sad
before 10 to 10,
moments of its
the baby was delivered right up to the pectoral fins, and then it opened its mouth and it
rediscovered
wagged
in the
its tail.
1800s.
And 11.
Today they lie where they fell.
And he walks
Mute
away.
testimony of the destructive capabilities of the volcano.
Even racing on their own little
It was just so fast. It was just
Volcanoes
sort
are
of
found
pump,
all over the
pump, and
world.
tries out the ejector seat at a British hill climb.
The baby was totally disoriented. It was swimming on this animal and bumping into that one. And that was so hard. It was just so cute. So brand we're all
A few drivers can't seem to get it into their heads that you need 4 wheels. Our old friend Bertrand Gachot again. And we haven't seen quite the last of him. Even the son of a former... Formation skidding could be the next Olympic. Whoops, too late. Now, just in case you thought you'd seen the last of Bertrand Gachot, he's in the middle of the front row. Bertrand. If the action on four wheels is fast and furious, Grand Prix motorcycle racing probably provides more thrills per lap than any other form of speed sport. It's all about speed and bravery. Bikes sometimes seem to have minds of their own. Dutchman Boot van Dulmen is narrowly avoided by as they crash at Paul Ricard in France. But McElney's Suzuki refuses to lie down. Sergio Pellandini bails out as his bike keeps an appointment with the Armco. Some riders don't even make it to the start. The rain in Spain causes the downfall of former world champion Franco Uncini, and that was on the warm-up lap. Rob McElney in Spain, proving it doesn't have to be wet though. While Stefan Mertens has found an even quicker way to dismount. Frenchman Raymond Roche slides from his Yamaha at high speed. When he leaves the track, degree of difficulty 9.9. Here he is in action at Assen. While in the 1-2-5 category, Luca Cadalora snatches the lead, but not for long. When the rear tyre breaks away, the only thing a rider can do is pray. Back to Cardos, this time in the Yugoslavian Grand Prix at Vieja.
On a festive day at the Paris Air Show, a sleek Soviet MiG-26 attack jet performs for a huge crowd of thrilled spectators. As the test pilot lifts his 20-ton machine into the clear skies, news cameras capture the aerial ballet. All seems well, until suddenly one engine spits fire. The pilot fights the controls, trying to force the plane away from the crowd. Finally, he blasts himself into the sky, too late for his parachute to fully open.
The carnage continues at Assen. Christian Saron slides off, collecting triple world champion Freddie.
Have fun, and are very different as individuals. They are and with each other.
How would you like to be put in a hot frying pan and cooked until you were nice and brown? On both sides. How would you like to be somebody's dinner? How would you like to be my dinner?
But I don't eat fish.
Then what were you going to do with him?
I wanted to give him a nice home with my pet goldfish.
Fast-track racing at 100 miles an hour is bound to end in tears. A few riders have got their bikes to do tricks. Thierry Espes can stand on its head. While Christian Saron has trained his to attack any cameraman who films him falling off.
But he said that side of the mountain would have to, let loose.
And by the morning of May the 18th, thousands watched and waited. It was a beautiful spring morning. Scientist David Johnson watched as a huge bulge began to grow on the mountainside around him.
That it was the equivalent of about a 17 megaton nuclear weapon going off.
Despite the near total...
Okay, that concludes our show. Thank you. Thank you for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you guys, the viewers. And yeah. See you on Sunday. Just gonna stop the stream now. Thanks. Good night.